Do you want to learn how you can make $5,000 in 1 week? Do you want to learn how you can start and grow a successful bookkeeping business? That's probably exactly why you are watching this YouTube video. I am here to tell you that I'm telling you the truth. I know this is a fact. You can make $5,000 in 1 week in your bookkeeping business. Let me tell you exactly how you can do it. So, first of all, I know that you can do it because I did it 3 years ago whenever I started my bookkeeping business. I made more than $5,000 in 1 week, exactly 5 months after I started my bookkeeping business. And the best thing is that you don't need any experience, no college degree, no certifications, and you can do all of this while you're working remotely. Let me give you a couple real examples. In February of 2021, I had a restaurant pay me $9,000. I had a staffing agency pay me $5,000 in November 2021. This is all in the first year when I started my bookkeeping business. So if you are a brand new bookkeeping business owner, you can do this too. I had a trucking company pay me $8,000. Another trucking company pay me $20,000 in 1 week in July of 2023. And I had so many more companies pay me $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, all for just 1 week of work. Now, quick sales pitch. I do offer a course where I teach you how to start and grow a bookkeeping business. I also hold weekly meetings every single Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do a live presentation and a live Q&A. Right now, we have 9 people signed up for the meetings, and we all meet as a group. It's turned into a really good group setting where we can all collaborate and work together and support each other. I also have a Facebook group where you can post questions and post videos and you can get help growing your bookkeeping business. And finally, you can schedule a one-on-one consultation with me and I can help you start and grow your own bookkeeping business. All of those links are in the description of this video. Okay, so the way you're going to do this is by doing what's called a catch-up. And now, October 2023, if you're watching this video when I publish this video, now is the best time to do this because a lot of companies are starting to think about taxes and a lot of new companies are starting to realize, oh shoot, I didn't do any of my bookkeeping. So now they're going to call you and reach out to you and say, hey, I need all of my bookkeeping from January 2023 to the end of the year. Can you please help me out? This is called a catch-up. Now, I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions on what you need to do if a client reaches out to you looking for a catch-up. This is a great way for you to make anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000, and it really only is 1 week of work. This is an awesome opportunity for you to supplement your bookkeeping business, and seriously, the best part is these clients are going to turn into monthly recurring clients. So you're going to get a large sum of money upfront to catch them up on their bookkeeping, and then they're going to retain your services and continue paying you monthly. That's why starting a bookkeeping business, in my opinion, is the best business to start. You can work remotely, no experience needed, and you can make a ton of money doing it. Okay, so first step, you need to get all of their bank statements. You're going to want to do this upfront before anything else because you're going to need their bank statements so that you can give them a quote. And also you're going to need their bank statements so you can actually do the work of the catch-up. So you might as well just get your bank statements in the beginning before you start doing any of their work. And remember, this is a great opportunity for you to test this prospective client and see how organized they are. If it takes them a month to get back to you and to give you their bank statements, or if they give you a hard time, or if they are unable to gather their bank statements, those are red flags, and maybe this client isn't going to be an ideal client for you to work with. So keep that in mind whenever you're trying to collect information from these prospective clients. Step number 2, make sure you get the QuickBooks bank feed connected. This is really important. You want to make sure you have this connection before you quote them, or at least simultaneously while you are quoting them, because if you don't have the transactions in the bank feed, you're going to need to manually import those transactions into the QuickBooks bank feed. So you want to make sure you are able to connect their bank accounts and credit cards to their QuickBooks bank feed. Now, step number 3, like I said, this could be step number 2, but you want to make sure you get paid up front, and you're going to be doing this simultaneously with collecting their bank statements and getting their bank feed connected, because in order to quote them, you need to make sure they have their bank feed connected. But once you send them a quote, you want to make sure you get paid up front. Sometimes I will accept 50% payment up front and then 50% payment when the project is complete, but you want to make sure you at least get 50% payment up front, if not 100% payment up front. A good thing to look at, because you already have their bank statements, if you're quoting them $5,000 and every single month they have ended the month with $100 in their bank account, you might want to think twice about doing $5,000 worth of work before you get paid. They might not be able to afford your services even if they accept your quote. So keep that in mind whenever you are doing work before you get paid. That's why I prefer to get paid all up front. Now, whenever you're quoting these people, you need to consider whether or not you need to import their transactions. I try to keep it simple whenever I am quoting companies for bookkeeping. I usually just add up all of the transactions. In this case, for a catch up, I'll do January through October, add up all of the transactions, and then multiply that number by 3, and that is simply your quote for bookkeeping services. So if you are confused on how to quote and you don't know what to do, just add up all the transactions and multiply that number by 3, and that is the final quote for bookkeeping services. However, if you have a brand new business and you're more desperate to land a client and you definitely want to land the client, maybe consider charging $2 per transaction or $2.50 per transaction. But right now I am quoting people $3 per transaction. And if you need to import the transactions because the bank feed in QuickBooks is not connected, it's going to cost extra. I usually add an additional $1 per transaction if I need to manually import their bank transactions into QuickBooks. So just let the client know that it's going to be X number of dollars or an additional $500 or $1,000 because you need to manually import those transactions into the QuickBooks bank feed. Sometimes these clients will prefer to just do it themselves instead of paying you to do it. Okay, let's keep on talking about steps for how you can do the work of these catch-ups, because these are incredibly profitable. It's a great way for you to get a large sum of money all at once, and it's a great way for you to get a new monthly recurring client. So you want to try to get view-only access to their bank. Not all of my clients give me view-only access, but this is great because you are able to pull monthly bank statements on your own without working with the client, and you are able to see check images. This is very useful for whenever you need to identify the payee and the category of the check, because you can actually see the image of the check and you can get all of the information, all of the details you need directly by logging into their bank. So view only access means that you have your own username and password to log into their bank. Unfortunately, every bank is different, so I can't give you step-by-step instructions on how to get view-only access, but I can tell you that it will make your life and your client's life a lot easier. So I definitely recommend try to get view-only access to all of your clients' bank, although it's not a deal breaker. One of the first things you should do once everything is done, once they've paid their invoice and you connect their bank account to their QuickBooks bank feed, one of the first things you should do is to send check questions immediately to your client if you don't have view-only access to their bank, because typically it takes a long time for clients to answer questions. And they're probably going to have somewhat of a large list of check transactions depending on how they pay their bills and how they pay their contractors. But if they have 10 checks or 100 checks, it doesn't matter. In the very beginning, export that list of checks from the QuickBooks bank feed into Microsoft Excel, send that list over to your client and say, hey, please let me know who did you pay and what did you buy with all of these checks. And like I said before, if you want to give me view-only access to your bank, I can get this information on my own. Otherwise, you will need to provide this information for me so that I can categorize your transactions accurately. All of your questions are always about doing your job accurately. I would always stress that. If the client ever gets frustrated or annoyed that you're asking them a ton of questions, just remind them, hey, I know these questions might be a lot, but I need to make sure I'm doing your books accurately. The client should appreciate that. Okay, before you start categorizing transactions, I recommend you should check the balance sheet for unknown items. Look at the assets, look at the liabilities. If anything on the balance sheet doesn't make sense, I recommend you do a deep dive, figure out if it should be on the balance sheet. If you don't know what it is, ask the client, look at the individual transactions that make up that particular asset or that particular liability, and figure out if you need bank statements, or if you need a bill of sale, or if you need credit card statements or loan statements to explain an unknown line item on the balance sheet. Do a deep dive, figure out everything you're working with before you get started. And if something is on there in error and it should not be on there, talk to the client, say, hey, I noticed these 3 assets on your balance sheet. I don't think they should be there. If it's okay with you, I'm going to recategorize these transactions or consolidate these line items. I would always talk to the client first, because some clients like to be in control of their balance sheet and their profit and loss. So some clients might say, no, don't change that. I know exactly what that is. Don't touch it. It's there for a reason. 90% of the time, the client's going to say, I have no idea what that is. I trust your opinion. Go ahead, change whatever you want. But sometimes they will care and they do know what it is. The exact same concept for the profit and loss. Can you combine or make inactive some of the accounts, or can you clean it up? Just make sure you clearly communicate with the client. Let them know, hey, your profit and loss is a little bit unorganized, a little bit too long. Would you mind if I clean it up, make it a little cleaner? Now, finally, this is the end of the video. Now, all you need to do is start categorizing transactions. I would sort the list by description in the bank feed, and then just start going down alphabetically by description. If you want, you can search for keywords of transactions that seem to happen a lot. For example, let's say they went to Home Depot 100 times. In the search bar, type in Home Depot. You can search for all of the Home Depot transactions, and then you can select all of the Home Depot transactions, and then you can very easily categorize a large lump sum of the transactions all at once. But other than that, there really are no shortcuts. Make sure you do a good job. And finally, if you ever have any questions, always make sure you follow up with the client. Don't guess, don't do things incorrectly. Always check with the client first if you're unsure or if you have any questions. I hope this video was helpful. If you made it to the end, check all the links in the description of this video. Join my Facebook group, schedule a one-on-one consultation with me, check out the course that I have, and you should really join us every Monday at 3 p.m. for our weekly meetings. We are really supporting each other and sharing a ton of knowledge. I hope you start and grow a wildly successful bookkeeping business.